You're listening to Barbell Logic,
the podcast where we talk about what it means to experience strength
and how you can use simple, hard, and effective strategies in training and nutrition to improve your life.
It starts with meeting you where you are right now and finding lasting solutions.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome, everybody, to the Barbell Logic podcast. I'm Nikki Sims, joined by the wonderful Matt Reynolds. And we have a special guest today, our very favorite Nikki Burman. Thanks for being here, Nikki.
Hi, everyone.
Yay. You might have gotten a chance to talk with Nikki before over email or over our little chat bot on our website, or maybe even you've done an experience call, or you could be one of her lucky clients. But she is the face of our client experience, and she sets the bar extremely high. We all strive to act like Nikki Burman. So excited to have you here with us. And we're going to talk today about how to never miss a workout, which I know you all may think that Matt would be leading this conversation, but in fact, it's going to be me and Nikki.
Yeah, because I'm terrible at this. I'm in the audience today. That's what I'm going to listen. I feel like this is like I'm going to church and you guys are preaching a sermon and I'm here to hear the sermon because I need it.
Be perfect. We have lots of tips.
Yeah, I saw this bullet point where it's like how to change your mindset from all or nothing. And I was like, oh, that's exactly me. Like all or nothing. That's a picture of Matt Reynolds.
Yeah,
like I'm all in or I'm all like I'm doing black tar heroin on Skid Row in LA or I'm 100% healthy. I'm
clean
hitting all my
mouse.
Workouts.
Yeah.
So there's really no middle for me. So, but
it's one of those strengths that can also be a weakness.
Yeah. So one of the reasons you're talking to Nikki Burman is that while Nikki is our director of client experience and is incredible at that, and she actually is really good at helping our clients find consistency. The real reason we're talking to her is because she's great at consistency in her workouts. Is that fair?
Yeah. If you listen to, I think it was our last episode or the one before, she was on the list of our BL1K award recipients. She's done 1,000 workouts. She has clients who have done 1,000 workouts. Like she knows how to make it work. And so we're going to talk about how to accomplish that while your life is busy. Because we're all functioning adults here that have a million things to do. Lots of people. You guys both have children who need you. You have jobs that are very demanding. And
my children definitely don't need me at this point.
They need the money.
They're
don't
at
need
the
you.
age. Yeah, that's right. That's right. They just need to work some chores and get paid.
Yeah.
Nikki Burman's children definitely need her. Like
Definitely.
I got 2 under 2.
Yeah, their sustenance for life still comes from Nikki.
You can just picture that. 2 under 2 plus work. It's hard sometimes.
Yep. And really quick, before we get started, we have another BL1K award recipient who we wanted to shout out. This is Dina Buchanan, who is coached by Cameron Cox. And Cameron Cox says she is the lean, mean Cajun machine from New Orleans. Cajun
Got it close, but that was close. From New Orleans.
Lean, mean Cajun queen from New Orleans. She just hit her 1,000th workout. I think it was this week.
Yeah,
so
Tuesday.
Pretty excited for her. Yeah, she is. Man, getting coached by Cameron must be really entertaining. I imagine that's like a fun video review.
I would love to hear a phone conversation between those two.
Yeah,
I would love to hear
great.
Cajun Queen and Cameron Cox talking to each other on the phone. Like, just as like something fun to listen to, like driving down the road.
Yes.
That'd be really entertaining.
I love it. So congratulations, Dina. Thank you so much for just dedicating yourself to your training. I'm sure you've had some ups and downs and some highlights, and doing 1,000 workouts is not just something you wake up and do on autopilot. It takes some choices. So let's get into what those choices look like.
Yeah.
The reason I thought this would be a great conversation with Nikki is because you have a lot of clients who run into situations where they think that they have to stop training for a little while. You have a lot of clients who are new moms who find out that they're pregnant, or you also deal with clients who email our support email to cancel. And your perspective is always, let's find a way to make this work. And that doesn't mean let's force this into your life. It means what can we change to keep you doing something that's still meaningful to you? So my question to you is, how do you kind of adapt coaching around someone's life when it seems like they just have zero time to commit to the gym?
Yeah. So I'd even take it one step back and just look at, there's two big things that come to mind when it comes to looking at clients who are super consistent. It's their support system, which leads into what we're talking about here is the plan realistic. Do they have a support system? That could look like their coach, their spouse, sibling, whoever it is in their life that can give them that extra little push. There's going to be days where they do have time to get in the gym, but they're just freaking exhausted because life can be hard sometimes. Who's going to help keep them accountable? That right there is important too. But then looking at the plan, is the plan realistic? So that's kind of more so where I come in when I talk to clients. That might look like, let's make the sessions a little bit shorter and see if that fits in a little bit better. Or maybe you train less number of days during the week. There's a lot of perfectionists out there, and I can relate to that. Like, I'm such a
Yeah.
perfectionist, but I can't tell you how many times I go out and work out, and then halfway through my session, I'm being pulled away for the kids. They come first. That's going to happen. I work with a lot of busy moms. That's going to happen. But you still got out there. You still did a movement. In my opinion, that's still a completed session. Your coach, you have your coach for a reason. They can help tweak the workouts and modify what you didn't get done. But you still got out there and you still completed your session. You did something.
Yeah. Which makes me, I'm curious, Matt, do you ever go out and do part of a workout?
Yeah, for me, I have one or two of the main lifts that we do. And then the goal is always to do some sort of accessory movements afterwards. But we count it, just like Nikki said, we count it a win if we get the main lifts done. Because sometimes life just gets crazy and you get pulled away. And if I got the main lift in, or even, two main lifts, then I'm like, okay, that was, because again, for me right now, consistency is actually the thing. So it's not that every workout has to be a champion workout. Like, oh yeah, I hit 2 main lifts and I did the upper body circuit or the lower body circuit, and we walked around the neighborhood, which we're doing more and more on workout days. We do right after the workout. On non-workout days, we just do it first thing in the morning. That's perfection, which is great. I feel great when I do it. But there's also days where you're like, man, I don't want to train at all. Let's just get in and hit the main lifts and be like, okay. Because again, it was more about the consistency of schedule for us than anything. So I am starting to come around to this, and that's new for me after training for 30 years. I think and we looked at it. We did that yesterday. I had Sybil, I had a bunch of calls. I was training Sybil. We squatted, we deadlifted, and we called it good. Well, like squats and deadlifts in a workout, that's a pretty good workout. I don't have to go out and hit the leg extension and leg curl and reverse hyper and glute ham raise and then walk around the neighborhood. Like, that would have been great, but we got the squats and deadlifts in and we're like, okay, check the box.
Yeah.
So
consistency, right? Like consistency, like what is going to help the client be the most consistent? We want to see as much green across the board as we can. When I say green, I mean, we complete a workout, it turns green. When that red piles up, I find that clients just feel like they get too deep in that red and they don't know how to come out of it. That leads to them maybe canceling or stopping training altogether. And we don't want that. We want to find whatever is going to get them in the gym, keep the habit of training, guide them through those high periods of stress. And then when life calms back down, we can plug more in. But what's going to get that person in the gym the most consistent?
Yeah, there's that like sense of defeat that piles up when training. You have it in your head what you would love it to be and what you think it should be, and then it becomes not that. And like you said, you see the red and it becomes, there's like a physical impact to missing training. But then there's the emotional toll of, I'm just not good at this. Like, what's the point? If one day a week isn't going to do anything, so why do anything at all? And just like this downward spiral where the nothing seems better than the all, which is impossible.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I find too, when I get on calls with clients, if they are looking at the workout that's plugged in for them and it feels just even slightly too long, where they feel like, oh man, I'm not going to get this workout in today. Where if it was almost the opposite, where it can clearly easily fit in and it got them out versus them just feeling like, I'm not going to get this in, I'm not going to do it at all, and they don't get in at all.
To me, that's an important conversation that coaches need to have with their clients. So So I have a client, he's actually been on the podcast before, but I think he would be fine with me saying this. So Jordan, one of my clients, Jordan Gross, he is a organic farmer, has a CSA out in Idaho, and he had just come back from vacation. It's like, hey, it's farm season. It's crazy. So he had been on a 4-day split, going 4 days a week. He's like, I need to go to 3 days a week, and I need not a single workout to take more than 35 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
That's tight.
But you know what I did? So like yesterday, he squatted 5 sets of 3, and he did hang cleans for 5 sets of 3, and he did them every minute on the minute and alternated. So like he did
cool.
odd minutes squats and even minutes cleans.
Damn, that sounds like fun.
Yeah, and they're not super heavy. So it was like 10 minutes, and he had done 5 sets of squats and 5 sets of cleans in 10 minutes.
That's cool.
And then he did a quick lower body circuit that was like 2 movements. And I mean, the whole workout's 20 minutes, and he just hammered it and was like, feel great. This is perfect. This is what I need. And that's what you do. And again, like there's optimal, like when you're chasing numbers, and then there's like, the guy is literally working 14-hour days, planting crops right now. And it's also very labor intensive. Like his work is labor intensive. So it's not even the same thing as like when my days are labor intensive, which is like, okay, I'm 14 hours at the computer.
Very
like
emotionally
he's actually
intense.
out there. Yeah, that's right. It's emotionally intensive, but not physically intensive. So yeah, I think it's really important as coaches that we're aware. Again, we come back to that quality of life thing. Like he wants to continue to improve his quality of life while he does what he loves, which is being an organic farmer. Training is a part of that. And I think you'll see this common theme. Like I've watched Burman do the same thing and having 2 babies over the last several years and continue. And
last
so
couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah, over the last 2 years.
Correcting you there. That was a lot of work.
But, and continue to work a full-time job with Barbell Logic, which again, blessed, lucky that you get to do it from home, and also still train, knowing that your kids are now the most important things in your life. And so, I would assume training and work bumped down 1 step because you've got your husband and your kids are clearly number 1, and then work and training are no longer 1 and 2, they're 2 and 3 or 3 and 4 or whatever that is. And I think that's perfectly fine.
That was a hard adjustment.
Sure.
That was hard for me at first because I've always been this like work 100%. That's just always been like my work ethic. It's just how I was raised. So that was really hard to get used to that.
What's your support systems? You talked about support systems, and I know like Ms. Burman, for you, like I know Jarrett and your kids, like what is the thing that you're like, this helps me, these people are in support of me in being able to get this work done? Is it almost primarily family for you? Is it also, you post a lot on Instagram? Is there even some accountability there? Accountability having a coach at BLOC, all of it? How would you
definitely coach,
that?
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Becca's amazing. She's definitely keeps me accountable. I post on Instagram more for like inspiring other moms, but I would say number 1, it's my husband. There's going to be days where I did not get out in the gym and I'm really tired. It was a long work day. He gets home from work because he actually has to commute to work, right? So he comes home and I give him a heads up before he even comes home. I'm like, hey, I didn't work out today. Make me get out there when you get home. So we go out there. The kids join us. Gavin has his own barbell. They have fun out there. And I love that they are out there with us and seeing it. So it turns into this whole kind of family fun night. And that gets me out there. If I didn't have that, I'd probably skip more, to be honest.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, what I see there, which is really great, is you ask for what you need. And you're very clear about, please help me with this. Like, it's okay to ask that. And then you've set things up to make it possible for yourself. You have the garage gym, and then you have things to keep the kids busy so that, whatever obstacles there might have been, otherwise, you've just removed them. You've made it possible for yourself, and you've asked for something that you need to support you, which is really cool.
I did see you almost step on your baby the other day. Did you see that? She crawled up right behind her. She almost stepped on her. So I was like, whoa.
I was doing tricep press downs and she was over on her blanket when I started. And when I was done, she was right behind me.
Yeah. That's what Bella does.
How did you get there?
That's what my dog does when I'm breaking down videos, and it knows when I'm recording a video in the morning and I'm doing client breakdowns. Like, I'm going to run upstairs, go through the cat door, and eat the cat food and all the cat while he's recording. He knows it's a 3-minute recording. And I get done and I run upstairs and I'm like, Bella, what are you doing? It's 14-year-old Boston Terrier. And Bella's like, she knew that the second, it's like she hears the little like recording thing from screencast, like
Yep.
beep, beep, beep. And she's like, all right, I get 3 minutes to run and like do terrible things. So what about you, Nikki Sims? Don't have the husband, don't have the kids. Are you entirely intrinsically motivated? Or are there some external factors?
Yeah, such a different life. I definitely have a lot of intrinsic motivation. And yeah, I've really set up my life to make it very easy for me to train. But I think I've learned a lot recently, the support that I needed to work through this latest phase of training, which is like, just honestly, I've had a lot of issues with my back the last several months, and it's made training look like something completely different than what I want it to be, and like really limited what I could do. And so that is similar in the way that it was just like, I have so many thoughts of just like, what's the point of this? What's the point of just another set of leg extensions? Like, this just feels like it's not anything that I want to do anymore. And so kind of getting myself out of that mindset of it looking different than what it was before and looking different than what I wanted it to be, but it's still being very useful. And the support system for me there is having coaches who I could trust to kind of just tell me what to do, because at that point you're just like, I don't know what's going to be worth it anymore. Like, I'm going to talk myself out of anything and bounce around. So someone who I can trust to give me something useful. And then just like, I've got a great boyfriend now who's just like, you're doing great. Like, I appreciate how much work you're putting into it. And just that kind of validation, really, to some extent, of just like, I see you working, you're still working really hard. It's different, but it's okay.
Yeah.
And it's cool that like, I see it interestingly as like a pie chart where you only have 100% of you. And you can kind of adjust those percentages of what you can put into it. So like, I still have a huge chunk of my pie chart to training. I didn't give anything up. It's just different than it was before. It's like a different color. So it's changing that. It's like being okay with that perspective shift of, you know what, I'm still showing up. I'm still growing muscle. It still works.
Yeah.
I love that.
Does social media play any role? I know, Herman, you said that you mostly do that to kind of help inspire young moms. Both of you post almost every workout that you do on social media. Is there a part there for you that you're like, there's a consistency in that, there's some accountability that other people are going to see it, that is part of the motivation to do it and not give up and not go quit and not do it early? Or is it more of just like, this is something that I do and it's just to have other people sort of see it and maybe inspire other people? What's your approach there to social media? What role does that play?
I get really excited when I get a message from another mom and they mention how I've helped them in some way, or it made them open to, I can actually train when I'm pregnant, or whatever the case is. Like, that's super exciting to me. So I think that just kind of, it's built into my routine and my habit. I'm usually doing my last nursing session for the day, posting whatever I need to post for the day. Like, that's usually my routine.
That's awesome.
Not posting the nursing session, posting the workout while nursing.
Posting
Okay, got it.
workouts while nursing. I do my visual food diary, my workouts for Becca. Like, I'm doing that all.
And then Sims, what about for you? For social media play any role there?
It used to be different. Like, when I was hitting really great numbers that I was super jazzed about, it was just like, look what I can do. And now it's like totally different. It's like, it's kind of a sense of connection. And I appreciate now that someone else is going through the same thing that I am. And maybe by setting the example of showing up, figuring out what I can do, trying to make it a learning experience, I might help someone else out through that kind of challenging time of just like almost being, I had to go through like a phase of just like, I'm embarrassed that I'm only squatting 85 pounds now, but also it's just like, I'm squatting 85 pounds versus squatting 0 pounds.
Yeah.
Like, hell yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully if someone else is kind of going through that little rough patch, it might be helpful to them. So it's kind of a cool sense of connection, knowing that it's just another person out there who might be going through something similar.
Well, and I've watched you're very transparent. You've been more transparent and more vulnerable over the last 6 months or so on your social media, I think, in just talking through some of those struggles, which I think is, I don't know if I speak for you guys. I get so tired of seeing like giant PRs on my Instagram feed every day. It's just like every other one. And I get it. I'm happy for people. I'm not talking about people that I even know. I'm just talking about like influencers like, oh, here's another guy deadlifting 800 pounds. Here's another, like, it's just like, ugh. And so to me, like the things that actually speak to me are more of the things that when you're like, hey, things hurt, I'm kind of broken, but like I'm still getting in there and doing it. Here's why. Here's the value that I find in it. Like, you've made quite a few posts that are similar to that. I think that resonates well with people. I certainly think it resonates more with people than 800-pound deadlift.
That's so true.
Because you're like, how many people watch that? Are like, cool, I'm going to go deadlift 800 pounds now. Like, nobody.
Right.
So,
but there's still something that we have in common with those people. Like, we're training.
That's right.
We're consistent.
That's right.
Like, no matter what the numbers are, no matter like the PR frequency, like, we're actually still super similar.
Right.
In a pretty cool way. They just do cooler things sometimes.
Yeah, right. I do want to give a quick shout out to my wife here. She's hashtag not a fan, probably of the Barbalogic podcast, but she does listen a lot more now that Nikki's on. And the fact that both of you guys are on means that she might actually listen to this episode. We have actually...
Hi, Rachel.
We have actually flip-flopped here where she very much holds me accountable to training.
I was going to ask if she was your support system.
For sure.
Yeah.
So it used to be the other way around, right? Where I was like, come on, let's train. She'd be like, I don't want to train. And now it's the exact opposite. She'll be like, hey, let's just go out there and hit the main lifts, get in, get out, do 25 minutes. Like, she puts a little peer pressure on me. It's rarely the other way. She's been more motivated to just get in there and do it. And again, for me, if I'm consistent, what's crazy is most of my life, I don't, knock on wood, I haven't had too many major injuries. So, I mean, I've torn my pecs and stuff, but that's over 25 years of training. I don't have a lot of major injuries. If I train consistently, I just get stronger. And so it really is about being consistent. It doesn't even have to be the perfect workouts or chasing the numbers or doing all the accessories. It's just, so yeah, I'm very thankful for her to challenge me to say those exact same things. Like, hey, we don't have to. She knows what the plan is. And she'll often say, she can tell if I'm having one of those days, just like, there's so much going on. I can't. And she's like, let's just go out there and do this and this. Let's bench press and do lat pull downs and call it good.
And then do you
walk around
feel
the
better
neighborhood.
after that?
Always feel better.
Yeah.
When do you not feel better after it? You feel better after it every single time, right? And so,
but you didn't feel like a failure because you didn't do everything.
Which you will. You feel guilty, right? So like, I feel if I don't do anything, I feel guilty. I feel like man, I feel guilty. So that's a support system for me. And then also, Nikki, you know this. I keep saying Nikki, and there's two Nikkis on the call. Probably both of you know this, but Sims.
The global
We
Nikki.
hear this all the time. 1K, 2Ks.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Trips are motivating factors for me. Like, I've got a trip coming up to, the Masculine Style Live event. Andrew and I are going to talk through how strength training can lead to aesthetics improvement and like the kind of the way that sort of trickles down, not just the physical changes.
So you're on the line to demonstrate that.
Like, dude, I can't show up there and be a fat turd. Like, I've got, or like, so, and that's why we try to do vacations to places like Cancun and stuff. It's like, okay, like there's the thing on the calendar and I'm pushing for it. And it's, I don't know if that's 100% healthy to always have to have that external motivation, but, for me, I'm not as intrinsically motivated as I used to be for this stuff. And I think some of that is just like, I'm just not the professional strongman that I used to be.
Yeah.
Like, I had a lot more motivation then. So it's like, I'm the old version of myself. And so having built the support system of Rachel and then also some trip on the schedule that's like, hey, I need to show up and like look the part and be the part. And I think that's where my support system really comes from.
Question for you guys as coaches. When you see compliance kind of start to dip, so when you see more missed exercises, more missed workouts, and the client isn't really communicating around that, like all you see are things missed, but you don't hear anything about why, how do you start to connect with them and make some changes?
Right away, I'm like, hey, let's hop on a call. Let's just talk.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they just need a vent. Like, usually I have a pretty good relationship with all my clients and they tend to communicate pretty well. But every now and then I'm like, hey, what's going on? Let's hop on a call. And you can usually notice that before it's too late and before they just want to stop altogether.
Yep. Yeah, I do the same, man. Calls always make things better. It doesn't mean it has to be an hour-long phone call. Even a text, it can be a text as well, but a phone call helps tremendously. I was thinking about that feature. I think we mentioned this the other day, Sims, on the last podcast, but that feature that's been added on our software now where you can look down through your workouts and see how many videos and how many comments have been uploaded from each client. So you can look at a workout like, okay, they uploaded 3 videos and 2 comments, right? A red flag for me is when clients only upload videos and they never give a comment. Like 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 6 days in a row, they've only uploaded their videos and they haven't made a single comment, like not even said,
like no emojis,
are hard today
no
or anything, like nothing. Then I'm like, that's a very impersonal relationship where you're just uploading videos and saying nothing.
Yeah.
And so I find real value in that little addition to our software to basically be like, okay, this person is only uploading videos and is never saying anything. There's no look into their life. They're not even saying like, hey, things are like really stressful right now. Like even getting that is like, okay, they want to let me know. It's almost like there's an ambivalence red flag that's coming up. That's like, they're just checking the box every day. Perfectly fine to check the box every once in a while. Perfectly fine. But when I see a client do it 5 or 6 workouts in a row and I haven't had a comment from them in 5 or 6 workouts, then that's a red flag. And then the other thing is when they start to miss, talk about doing the phone call, the purpose of my phone call, and I would assume, I don't want to speak for Burman, I think she's similar. It's like my question when I start to see compliance fall with my clients are, how do we make this fun and doable for you? And so when they're like, man, I'm just really struggling with getting in, the workouts are taking an hour and a half and I just don't have an hour and a half. Okay, do you want to go to a 4-day split and keep them all like, I'll do everything I can to keep them under an hour and closer to 45 minutes. And sometimes it's like, hey, we do a 4-day split or an upper lower body split and we just go 3 days a week and we just go lower, upper 1 week and upper, lower, upper the next week. And we do the little things like I'm doing with Jordan where it's like, hey, 35 minutes, let's get in, get out. You're not going to detrain. You actually probably will get a little stronger over this period. And what's fun? I think that's the thing. When people are struggling with compliance, again, we get into this, like, yeah, training it's not always going to be super, super, super fun. You don't always look forward to every single session. But if you despise thinking about the session you have to do every single day, like it's only a matter of time before they stop. And so there is a optimal way to train, but boy, I think part of what we're trying to do, if we're trying to improve their quality of life and they hate every second they're in the gym, that's not really improving quality of life, is it? So we can make some adjustments there. So that's what I try to do.
Yeah. I mean, think about when things are stressful, you don't want the gym to be a stress at all. Like that's not going to help the client get through. Training will look different and that's okay. Progress can look different from time to time. The workouts do need to be fun. And like you said, quicks. This is when maybe those fun accessory movements come in. You do like a quick circuit. I have 2 days where I just do like a full body circuit because it gets me out there and it gets me moving. And that works too. I find that some clients don't even know what modifications we can make. The ones that just miss and miss and miss and miss. And then you never really connect with them to talk about options. They think that programming has to look this way. It doesn't always have to be so black and white.
What are some examples that you've made or some examples of adjustments that you've made for, like Matt, you gave that example of your EMOM. What about for you, Nikki?
Yeah, EMOMs, quick circuits, it might just be some more of like a, full body cables, if they have like a cable extension of something or body weight movements, more conditioning, like get them out there, get them moving, get them sweating a little bit too, because that's also you get the endorphins going and it gets them feeling good. I have 2 main lift days that are just 1 lift a session. So maybe they just get out there and do 1 lift. The 4-day split into the next week, that's really common too with my busy moms.
Yeah, that's a good one. I use that one a lot where it might have been a 4-day split, but then it's just like, shoot, that's just still too much. So you just start sliding into the next week and that's fine because that tends to work because there was so much stress going on anyway, they couldn't recover. Right. So moving it over could have just been exactly what they needed.
Yeah, again, the academic Matt Reynolds 5 years ago would have said, I don't think you can make progress doing that. I think you'll just sort of plateau and not detrain. But my clients, they almost all make progress on that 4-day split over a 9-day period.
Yeah.
They do fine and they keep making progress. They make it a little slower than they would on it. Yeah, except that all the other stress in their life would have driven them to not train and then they wouldn't have made progress either. So,
Exactly.
They make progress just fine. It's fine.
Yeah. And I think it's really helpful to remember that these little adjustments are not forever. Like this might be for a month that it seems like it's an adjustment, but you do it for a month, it's still better than not doing anything for a month. So it's whatever change you're making is not forever. Like training adapts to your life and your schedules, and you're going to have another change in a few weeks, a couple months, whatever, and then it'll change again. So it's helpful to not doom yourself by believing in or by making an adjustment.
Yeah. I actually think the uncertainty of COVID over the past couple of years has actually impacted clients in in negatively in that way, right? That, when COVID first hit, you're just like, well, how long is this going to last? Like, I don't know, a few weeks and it'll be over. And so you're just like, oh, the gym's all closed down and the churches closed down. And you're like, yeah, but we'll be back in a month or two. And it's like, that's not what happened.
Yeah.
And so I think that there is this thing that occurs now almost in people's subconscious that you're like, oh, if I'm making a conscious step backwards in the style of training or the intensity of my training, it is, I think, becoming harder for people to accept that, like, hey, that might only be for a month or 6 weeks, because they're like, well, that's kind of what they told me in March of 2020. And it's like, it's actually like life has changed, like culture has changed. Everything's changed over the last several years. And so I think there's this thing that often people want to kind of hold on to this thing right now. If it's good, it's good. I don't want to let go of it, but you're like, yes, but just like Burman said, when all the other things are stressful, we can't let training be mentally and socially and stressful, right? Like, and Sims and I were talking about this on a podcast, I think in the last couple of weeks, where it's just like, I just want to get them wins. People that struggle with compliance, the goal is to get little wins in the gym. And those little wins are often not PRs. They're compliance wins, or maybe they are PRs, but they're like with novelty lifts that they haven't really done before. So they're like having some fun with something new, or they're doing like EMOMs or whatever. So they're these little wins. And the goal is that they walk out of the gym, just like you said, feeling better than they did when they walked in. That's the goal when that's the struggle. So was that,
just
Nikki,
completing that workout? It's like, that felt like a huge accomplishment.
That's right.
Every time.
Was that your goal, especially in the first, say, I don't know, month to 6 weeks of your postpartum training? So there's obviously a little time period there where you take off. You got to be careful because you've got, potentially diastasis recti, right, where your abdominal walls are kind of separated. As you started to come back into training, what was the motivation there from workout to workout in just the initial, I don't know, first 10 workouts coming back from actually giving birth?
Yeah, taking it slow, just getting out there, get moving again, build that base back up. Thankfully, I've been able to train through both pregnancies. So it was, I bounced back pretty quick, which I'm really thankful for. And that's really where Becca had to come in and kind of hold me back. Like, you're more likely to want to do too much too soon. So taking it slow, building that base back up, simple things like just diaphragm breathing and just building all that groundwork back up that your body went through a lot. You almost have to treat it like an injury. Like, you're kind of, you're rebuilding. So yeah, just getting out there, and it just felt good being able to move again, because you can't do anything for 4, 5, 6 weeks. So you're really anxious to get back out there.
It's good.
I also want to point out too, when clients do have life happen where it does keep them out of the gym, the more consistent you are up to that point, the easier it's going to be able to bounce back up and get back in the groove.
Yeah.
So take advantage of the good times, do what you can, modify as you can, because life is going to happen and you're going to have some misses, and know that's okay. But the more consistent you are up to that point, the easier it's going to be.
Yeah, that makes good sense.
Whenever a client comes back from a long layoff, they're just like, why is this so hard? This is the worst. Like, being motivated to avoid that feeling is totally worth it.
When I come back from a layoff, I'm like, I just got to get through the first 2 workouts.
Yeah.
Once I get to workout 3, everything feels okay again. So it's like, I got to get through the first 2, like, it's been so long and everything's sore and it feels like crap. And it's just,
I think a couple of things, like, as a coach and a client, you have to find out what is meaningful still about training. And maybe it's just avoiding that feeling of coming back and feeling terrible, or if it's getting ready for a trip, or if it's just like, I need to keep momentum because I'm afraid of what'll happen if I stop training. So, like, what is the most meaningful part of training? And that could be like having fun in the gym could be another one. But sometimes people still really want to get stronger, but they're just so limited. So that will kind of dictate the metrics that you use. So maybe the metric becomes, how long are you spending in the gym? That's where we can use the workout duration metric on the app. Or it can be, what accessories or lifts do you like? What are fun? Or it could be, you know what, you've got time for one lift and you still want to get strong. We're only going to do a squat program.
Yep.
Like we are doing 100% squatting for the next 4 weeks and let's see what you do. Because sometimes I think being a little bit more flexible with that can be pretty useful. And I'm wondering if I was going to ask you about the all or nothing, if you have any advice to kind of pull someone out from the all or nothing. I had an idea, but I'm curious what you think, Nikki.
I think for me, because I've been there, I am a perfectionist. I've totally been that person. And being okay with seeing, like, for example, on our app, we can mark a lift, put an X by a lift, but then mark the session complete. I think really probably not until I became a busy mom did I really fully understand and relate to my busy clients. And I think that getting out there and I got that first lift done and I still made the session green, that started to help me go have those kind of baby steps to being okay with that. Felt like a huge win and I feel okay with that.
So still being able to complete, there's still a
Yes.
sense of completion.
Yeah.
It's like the way we use checklists, Sims, you and me. It's like, it feels so good to mark the thing off the list. With our app, when you haven't completed the workout, it's red.
Mm-hmm.
And when you complete the workout, it turns green. And so, what Burman's saying is like feeling it turn, like the sense of accomplishment you get to go from red to green. You're like, I completed it.
Mm-hmm.
I marked it off the list.
And that red lift can be dragged over to another day, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Moving things around when you can.
That is super, super important to know. It's just like, you know what, you ran out of time to do that one exercise, do it tomorrow. Like go out for 10 minutes and do it, or plug it into tack it onto the next workout. Like that is okay.
Yes.
The idea, I think, is you're putting reps in the bank. Sometimes if you put those reps in the bank across a longer time period, then it has to be Tuesday, April 5th. And if I don't do it on Tuesday, April 5th, the workout gods are going to say, no, you don't deserve anything. It's just like, no.
Right.
Yeah.
Put those reps in the bank on another day. It's gonna work. Yeah.
Yeah. And knowing that I feel way worse if I didn't do that first lift.
Yeah.
Think about how many times you've had to explain. I've had a handful of new clients lately testing some R&D on the app, and I get a new client, and when they miss their first workout, they like profusely apologize. Like they'll say they're doing typical LP and it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and they miss their Wednesday where they're like, I'm so sorry, I'm not going to be able to. I'm like, oh, we'll just push this to Thursday. It's fine,
Yeah.
No, I really want you to just get the 3 workouts in this week. So if you missed it on Wednesday, we'll just do it on Thursday and then push Fridays to Saturday and you'll be fine. That's there's like this light bulb that goes off. They're like, oh, wait a minute. Like that was an option, because you'll see, and you recognize, like, we just do that so often. But for somebody who's really, truly new, they're like, I screwed this whole thing up because I missed my Wednesday workout. I've had clients be like, I wasn't able to get into the gym today until 12:45 a.m. that night. And I'm like, oh, no, don't do that.
No. Yeah.
Like, just push it till tomorrow. It's okay. And they're like, oh, I didn't know I could do that. And you're like, oh, yeah, you can do that.
We have some wiggle room for you to still make progress.
Yes.
That's right.
There's wiggle room. Like the coach knows. That's why they're going to allow some things to slide, but also kind of hold the line, be like, okay, like you still need to do more than once a week if what you told me a couple weeks ago is actually still important to you. So Matt, I'm curious if this would work for like an all or nothing kind of thing, where I did this thing recently where I kind of I gave certain things in my life a level of importance on a scale of 1 to 5. Like my job, how important on a scale of 1 to 5? Physical health, how important on a scale of 1 to 5? Spirituality, like some major life things. And I would say a certain number for something, and then I would look at my actions and I'd be like, that is not. I am not living like that's a 5.
Yeah, that's actually really
and
good.
I'm curious if that would work for something like training where it is important to you, but and this is for anybody, I even have a client who I'm thinking about right now who is also all or nothing. If it just kind of took that hard look and being like, I want this to be a 5, but I don't know if I'm actually able to do it. Maybe there's a way to let it be a 4.
Right. But then actually
knowing
make it a 4.
You can act like it's a 4. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think that's great. I think one of the most convicting in a good way statements that has ever been made to me is my psychiatrist once said, I was talking to her about, changes I wanted to make in my life. I'm like, it's really important that I make these changes in my life. And she's like, it's not.
Ooh,
And I
she
was
called
like,
you out.
whoa. She's like, if it were, your actions would show that they're actually that important. You're saying it's important, but it's not actually important, because if it was, you would actually do the thing, or you would make some contribution to do the thing. And I remember being like, holy shit, but it was
I
really,
come to those conclusions frequently, and I'm just like, damn it.
yeah. But, and I mean, this was probably said to me 10 years ago in a session 10 years ago, but it was enough that I can remember thinking that, like, okay, I say that my health really matters. I say that this really matters. I say that, that these things are the most important things. And, like almost everybody will say, if they've got a family, they'll be like, so we can use family. They'll be like, my family is number one. You'd be like, based on your time and your actions, that actually is not actually true. Now, it might actually be if, like, if somebody put a gun to your head, or you only had 6 months to live, like you would reprioritize in a hurry. I don't think you have to be quite that intense about it, but I like the idea that you said of walking through and going, okay, here are the 5 or 6 things that I think are most important in my life. I rate those on a scale of 1 to 5. How important are they really? And then look at my time and my calendar and my actions and go, well, wait a minute. I said that's a 5, but it's not really a 5. I'm acting like it's a 2. Can I make it a 4 and actually do it as a 4? I think that's I've never thought about doing that, but I think that's a great take home action plan to do.
I'm curious if any of you listeners are all or nothing, try it and tell me how it goes.
Yeah.
Whatever it is okay. I just want to say whatever number it is to you is totally fine.
Yeah. Everybody's numbers are going to be different for all those things.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But if they don't line up with your actions based on what what you're really saying is you're sort of creating your own sort of core values, your personal core values. We've talked about this in past podcasts too, where it's like, we have business core values, we have these things, but everybody really kind of has their value system, their personal value system. And what you're doing is you're identifying what that value system is, and then you're just seeing if your actions align with it. And if they don't, then you got to go like, well, either my actions have to change, or I need to be a little more realistic about my value system. Maybe I'm saying that this is one of the most important values in my life. It's not.
Yeah.
So, and I think trying to help those come into alignment. I think that why that's important is because when they're not in alignment, it leads to guilt.
Yeah, there's some sort of emotional cost
like
to
there's
that.
some shame. And you're like, oh, I say that health is number one, but then I'm drinking too much alcohol. So now I feel guilty about this thing, right? Now I feel some shame in it. And I don't want my clients to feel that either, right? Like I want them to be free from that. And again, I think I hope this is something that I'm excited to talk about this stuff, because I don't think very many coaches talk through these things. And I'm not trying to be like, look how much better we are. And it's just that's why I'm so thankful to have both of you two on the experience team. That you put a lot of thought into what the real full picture experience is for our clients and our coaches and our staff. And I think, man, it's led to some incredible conversations. It's led to some hard conversations. It's led to some conversations where it's like, hey, we say we do this. We say our support is this incredible. And then you're like, man, when you have some real self-awareness there and you look at it like, it wasn't as good as I said it was, right? I think those are important conversations to have, because that's how you get better.
Cool. Long-term growth.
Yeah. God, aren't you glad we don't coach people for like 8 weeks?
Yeah, that would be really challenging.
Like I was talking on it. I was just interviewed on a podcast last hour. I was talking about Joe DeFranco, kind of famous coach, been around for years. He mostly makes his living coaching guys getting ready for the NFL Combine. So he gets them after college. He has them for 12 weeks and has to get the most out of them in 12 weeks.
Damn.
That's a completely different style of coaching.
Yeah.
That is one where I think minimum effective dose programming doesn't work very well. Because we got to get everything we can. But that's not how we coach our clients. We're literally thinking about 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Like, we want to coach our clients for life. Well, if that's the case, then we can take the time to walk through all of these things that we're talking about. You don't have time to walk through that if you only have 12. If you have like this finite amount of time, you got them for 12 weeks. Like, oof, that's tough. That's tough.
It's nice to get to know someone differently
That's right.
for a long amount of time.
Yeah, how cool
And
is
most
it
of
that
our
we have
clients
clients
are
doing
doing
thousands?
this.
Yeah, these
Yeah.
1,000
Life.
workout clients.
Yeah.
Like, man, just the story that
Yeah.
each of those clients have over those 1,000+ workouts.
Which you
Pretty
can already
incredible.
start to see on those who have completed 100 workouts. Like, it's amazing what
Yeah.
you can learn in 100 workouts. Imagine
That's right.
what you can learn about yourself in 1,000. It's really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
That's exactly right.
I love it. Well,
Awesome.
thank you so much. I love what you said about having a support system, being communicative with your coach, keeping your eye on workout duration. That seems to be a really big one that starts to become a problem. And sliding exercises over. I love EMOMs. I think those are so
Yeah.
useful to get so much work down in a really short amount of time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Circuits.
And yeah, making it realistic. Like, if you have 15 minutes, you can't do a banded rack pull 500-pound deadlift. That takes you 45 minutes to set up. Like,
That's right.
it's
That's
okay. Like, pick the exercise, like the lat pull down. You can walk out there, sit down, and pull on the thing.
Yeah,
Like,
that's right.
make it stuff you can easily do, remove the barriers, and you still get to build muscle. You still get to maintain your habit, and you're not like sacrificing anything. In fact, you're just giving yourself more.
That's exactly
So
right.
thank you so much for being here, Nikki. That was lovely.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
me.
Yeah. And thanks, Matt. It's always fun to talk to you about your training. I know
My
you
struggles.
train. It's so great. Thanks, everybody, for listening. If you enjoyed this, please give us a 5-star review wherever you're listening. Send it to someone who maybe could use a little nudge for never missing workouts. And we'll see you next time.
Awesome. See you guys next week.